training. Now that you have the background on how to use your pup's instinct to your benefit, why not try to use it to your benefit during training? The basis of training is, of course, the sit command. Once you've got this one down, you'll be over the learning hump and can move on to bigger and better things. Most people approach sit with force. They stand in front of their dog, tell him to sit, and when he doesn't sit, they push his rear haunches onto the ground. Find the problems in that scenario. Number 1, your dog's instinct tells him to resist any force placed upon him, even from an alpha dog. He'll probably try to back out and under your hands and scoot away. Number 2, you're touching your dog. If he doesn't construe the pushing as force, he'll take it as praise. He hasn't done anything yet, so he doesn't deserve the praise yet. Instead, let's try this method using his instinctual feelings about food as leverage. Get a treat in one of your hands. Show it to your dog and quietly call him toward you. When he's gotten close, slowly move the treat toward his nose and up over his head. His behind should drop to the ground to make it easier for him to watch the food, so keep a close eye on his legs. As soon as you notice them starting to bend toward the ground, say, "Sit," in a firm, commanding voice. When his butt hits the ground, praise him in that high, exuberant voice. Give him the treat and pet him. Remember to use keywords. Good boy, Max. Good sit. Good sit, Max. Repeat this 4 or 5 more times from the front, then try it 5 times from either side of your dog. If you notice him getting restless or tired, stop the training. Make sure you're praising him lavishly each time. If he forgets every once in a while and doesn't sit on command, reinforce it. Continue to say sit in that same forceful voice. Once you've mastered sit, move on to down. Again, most people approach this by forcing their dog to lie down by pushing on its shoulders or gradually pulling its legs out. And again, in both instances, you're touching your dog or forcing him. This has the same result as it does in the sit scenario. Instead, have your dog sit and make sure you have a treat in your hand. If you're right-handed, sit on the dog's left side. If you're left-handed, sit on the right side. Use your dominant hand to take hold of his collar and hold the treat in the other hand. Hold the treat up against your dog's nose for a second, then slowly move the treat downward. When you see your dog starting to bend down, say down in your command tone. Continue moving the treat down toward the floor and out away from the dog's body. You can repeat down. Once the dog is all the way on the floor, praise, pet, and treat him. Repeat this 3 or 4 times daily for a week. Next, you'll want to move to stay. This can be pretty difficult for some dogs since their ultimate reward is to be close to you and within your range of sight. Stand directly in front of your dog with a treat in one hand, but don't show it to him. Give the command to sit, but don't praise him just yet. Now slowly step backwards and tell him to stay. Keep eye contact with your dog the whole time and move slowly. As this calms his mind and lets him know that you're still in the area, you're just moving away a little bit. If he comes towards you, stop immediately, command him to sit, then try again. Try to get to a point where you've moved 5 steps backward without coming up out of the sit. Now praise, pet, and treat him. Again, work on this 3 or 4 times in a row every day for a week. When he seems to have it, try getting him to stay while in the down position. Some trainers teach stay by asking a second person to hold the dog back while you step away, or instruct you to move away from your dog quickly. If a second person were to hold your dog, it would work against his instinct and make him feel like you're leaving him or that this other person is keeping him from you. This is the worst punishment to your dog. It's why the most effective discipline is to isolate your dog from you for a minute or 2 by placing him in a separate room. He'll never learn the command if he feels threatened or at risk. Finally, teach your dog come. This one should be pretty simple for him to learn, but it may be difficult for you to remember the guidelines of instinctual training. With a treat in one hand, perform stay with your dog, either in the sit or down position. Use whichever position he's better at, since that reduces the risk of problems outside the new command. Once he's in stay, move a few steps away from him. Show him the treat and say, "Come." As he starts moving closer to you, praise him with your keywords, like his name and the command, and good, and be sure you always include his name. Also start crouching down toward his level. By the time he gets to you, you should be kneeling on the ground, ready with plenty of praise and a good treat. After you've developed this solid base of training and work yourself into the mindset that you should work with your dog toward training goals rather than against him, you're prepared for all sorts of advanced training and fun tricks. You should now be able to figure out how to convince him to do just about anything. Rolling over, playing dead, fetch, and whatever else you can come up with. Incorporate hand signals into your training if you'd like. Some dogs are so well trained on hand signals that their owners can have them perform elaborate routines without ever speaking a word. But most importantly, you and your dog should now be able to coexist more peacefully. He knows what you want, and you know what he wants. Keep making an effort to step into your dog's, try to walk in his paws for a little while and see things from his angle. Things become common sense when you can think like a dog, though you may suddenly get really hungry. The thing to remember above everything else is that your dog is a creature with his own brain and free will. Sometimes he wants to chew a bone when you want him to play fetch, and that's something you'll have to deal with. He's not breaking any rules. He's not misbehaving. He just wants some time to himself. That's okay. But of course, you should be thinking more like your dog by now, so you probably already knew that. And with that dynamic, there's nothing the two of you can't handle together.